Good afternoon, afternoon. Can you hear me? All right, we are going to go ahead and start with convening the Government Affairs Committee meeting. Chairman Taylor had to step out momentarily, but should be back. But I will try my best to fill in for a moment so we can get the ball rolling. We'll go ahead and go in order unless. First, okay, is requested by the author or the chairman. All right, we're going to go ahead and not go in order and go to Senate Bill 144. Senator Tippins, if you would like to go ahead and start, thank you for waiting on us.
Thank you. I appreciate you hearing the bill today. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I bring you LC 470636. Under current law, a housing authority created within a particular municipality can go 10 miles outside of the corporate boundaries of that existing municipality. What has happened in the past is because of the nature of an authority, they do not have to abide by local land use plans of the hosting political subdivision that they may be going into. This bill strikes that 10-mile authorization and requires a resolution of basically certifying a need and basically an exception of that project, and they can impose their own land use ordinances on that. So this would prevent a non-conforming use going into place. We've had one instance where that happened, but it's of great concern, and this is a local control issue. I believe firmly that the governing authority of the political subdivision in which it's located, their ordinances should stand. I'd urge your passage and approval of this, Mr. Chairman. If there's no questions, I'll yield, or I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Sure. Before I ask if there is any questions, and members of committee, I don't see any lights on yet, so you have a second to turn on. Who will be your House sponsor of the bill?
Representative Earhart.
All right, thank you. We do have one question, just for sake of clarification. This does have a grandfather's clause for any authority that is currently operating in this structure would continue to. Is that correct?
It grandfathers any buildings or operations that they have. It doesn't grandfather their right to go in the future. It grandfathers existing
any current investment
buildings
that's already
that they have.
Thank you for the clarification. We got number 15. All right, Chairman Williams.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This did pass through subcommittee, unanimous, a do pass, and at the proper time, I'd like to make.
It's the proper time.
Like to make a motion, do pass.
We got a second? Got a second? All in favor? Any opposed? This motion passes. Does your House sponsor should get a rules form, or should he? We'll let you know. Thank you for being here.
Chairman, members of the committee, thank you so much for your consideration.
Is there any other one that needs to go? Senator Mullis, I know you requested last, but I kept you waiting in subcommittee. Would you like to go ahead?
I'll go after the Senator Robertson, if that's okay.
That is plenty fine. I know that some people on this committee wouldn't want to offend you at this current time. Senator, we are, let us know the LC number if you don't mind.
Mr. Chair, with your permission, I'm going to remove my mask while I present.
Any opportunity I have to see your face is always
Thank you,
welcome.
Mr. Chair. I feel the same way. And I do not want to offend Chairman Mullis either.
Sake of clarification, Senator Robertson, this is Senate Bill 152 LC 364618.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank
You know, it's a blue. It's the pledge of courage.
It's a single page. Yes, ma'am. Chair, and I know not to talk bills to death, but I'm carrying several bills this session, and several of them are extremely important, but this bill is extremely close to my heart. And the reason being, through my love of history and research and everything, I discovered what I believe to be an oversight in the pledge that we offer to our flag every morning over on our side of the General Assembly. I was informed by my good friend and mentor, the rules chair over there, that in 2005, a resolution was passed that we would take the pledge to the Georgia flag immediately following the pledge to the American flag. And in doing that and looking at the seal of our great state and having had to pass Georgia history to get out of elementary school in Harris County, I discovered that our pledge to the flag, of course, is I pledge allegiance to the Georgia flag and the principles for which it stands: wisdom, justice, and moderation. And in my research, I realized that, of course, this started in early Grecian history with Plato and Aristotle and talking about what was required to have a good city and a good state. And what they came up with were the four cardinal virtues, which are wisdom, justice, moderation, and courage. And as I brought it forth over in the Senate, all of my colleagues agreed with me with the exception of one. And their argument was, well, we have a seal, it's been the seal, I don't know why we need to change things. And I believe their belief was that courage was not represented in our current seal, but it is. If you look at our seal, you'll see the words wisdom, justice, and moderation on the banners that wrap around the arches that we see on every seal in this building and that we see on the campus of our flagship university. But what you also see is that paladin standing there with the sword drawn, ready to protect the wisdom and justice and moderation of the great state of Georgia. And I say that paladin is courage. And so this extremely simple piece of legislation, I think, puts what I feel is the most important of those virtues back in front, and that is courage. That in this day and time, we must, as Georgians, have that courage to stand up for our state. And I pray that every morning, either whether we're in these chambers or wherever we are, and at every schoolhouse, that a child will be able to put their hand over their heart and pledge allegiance to the Georgia flag and the wisdom, justice, courage, and moderation it takes to continue making our state great. And I appreciate your time, Mr. Chair.
Senator, thank you for that worthwhile presentation and for clarifying for the committee your mastery of elementary history. But just for sake of clarification, I want to make sure that in step with Chairman Taylor's necessity to make sure every author of every bill knows the subject that they're talking about. Would you, I know your background in law enforcement, so would you say that you learned about courage in the state Senate or in law enforcement? Because I have trouble thinking it's one of those.
I learned about courage from a lady named Elizabeth Cobb, who was my mother, who raised me by herself, and who always read my report cards and could swing a belt harder than any man I think I've ever met. And she used it on her only son whenever it was needed. So she taught me how to be courageous when I went in the house, knowing what was waiting on me.
Well, I appreciate that.
Thank you, brother.
A great sidestep to my question. Do we have two questions or do you have a question? Yes, sir. What is 11? And I'll get to.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I was born and raised in Georgia, and to the best of my knowledge, I've never heard a pledge to the state flag ever from kindergarten on. And you mentioned that the Senate passed a resolution a while back to do that. Do y'all say the pledge to the state flag every day?
We do say it every morning, sir. And Mr. Representative, it was actually a resolution that was in the House and the Senate back then. And, you know, y'all's body is so huge. I know that, you know, it's a lot simpler for us to do some of those things, more traditional things because of, you know, I mean, y'all are just a large group of people, but we do. And the pledge was actually created, I think it was 1935. Using off the state seal. And I think that that's where the accident was made, that they did not recognize the paladin as the courage.
Again, I don't have anything against that. Just pragmatically, I've never heard of any school children or adults saying the pledge. But
my granddaughter taught it to a group of people in Harris County one evening that had this. And look, it's not your failure. It's the failure of the schools to keep it up front, and it's our failure that we're not still educating that way, sir.
And I am not so bold to say that we might not be able to do that state pledge because our rules calendar is so much heftier that comes to us on the floor of the House, but I wouldn't say that. But I appreciate your clarification. At the proper time, I'll entertain a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This also passed out of subcommittee overwhelming, and I make a motion to pass.
We got a motion second. All in favor, say aye. Any in opposition? The motion passes. Thank you.
And Representative Gullett will be carrying it,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Chair. Thank you, sir. I appreciate y'all's time.
Does he have a mastery of history, elementary?
He will, sir,
Okay.
when he gets on
All
the
right.
floor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Plato didn't talk? Where are we at now? Randy. I'm gonna, I think Senator, we got 195. I didn't mean to skip over, but I don't see Senator again. Just want to make sure he's not on Zoom or outside. We can hold on that one. We're gonna hold unless I hear anyone. All right. We're gonna go ahead with Senate Bill 193. Senator Mullis, Chairman Mullis, if you'd like to come up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Proud to be in front of these fine women, men and women who represent the state of Georgia, and I'm proud to serve with them. This is a simple bill. I know you never heard that before, but it has to do with mobile home stickers, or some people call them trailers, or some people call them manufactured homes, but it's whatever you call them, it's the same thing. But my tax assessor's office called me a couple years ago and said, well, look, we can look on our computer and see if somebody pays their taxes. We don't have to drive out and make sure they have stickers on their trailers or mobile homes or manufactured homes. So this bill simply gives them the option, either hire an individual to ride around the county and make sure they have their stickers, or to just look on their computer. So it's an option. It's a may, not a shall. And the may has a legal twist. I can find it, I'll read it to you. Oh, by the tax collector or this is number 28, or tax commissioner shall, if, that's the may right there. The shall, if required by the governing authority of the county, meaning they can decide if they want to do it or not. So county can maintain to have somebody drive around, make sure stickers are on manufactured homes, or they do not have to. It's going to them.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I think we clarified in committee, but we have more attorneys present, and we know they like to disagree. Is there any objection from any attorney in the table that a shall if is the same as a may?
That's
All right,
how
no
legislative
objections, so-
council did it, by the way, it wasn't me. No offense, legislative council.
But hey, you got to keep it interesting for them, right?
Yeah, right.
All right, is there any questions? Is there a motion at the proper time? All right, we got to move to pass, and we got a second.
Second here.
All in favor? Any in opposition? The motion passes.
I am
Thank you.
honored.
Who is going to be your House?
Well, I've got two choices.
Okay,
Either the new guy, House District 1, Mike Cameron, or the old guy, OLE, Alan Powell. So I mean, either one will be fine. I don't know if you want the new guy to go for an easy bill or have the veteran go and pass it quickly with some colorful language.
well,
perhaps.
you have given them such distinct attributes in selling to them. I guess you can decide which of the two, but
Well, I mean, you can, Mr. Chair, if you want to. I don't care. I don't want to lose it with
We're-
the new guy, but we'll say Alan Powell.
he's I think he's more than capable.
Okay,
We'll put
we'll let,
Representative Cameron.
Mike Cameron.
All right,
Y'all give him heck. Thank you. Let me know how I can serve you.
thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your great job.
One more, right? Oh, we got. So finally, we've saved the best for last in terms of authors. We have a representative who's still gracing us after cross. So nothing, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Didn't know that you could be. I'm glad I don't. Anyways, I'm going to wait a while for my rules form to get submitted. Okay, is he? All right, so we got House Resolution 222 by Representative Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll make this quick since we have another one to go. House Resolution 222, and I'm working from LC 470999S, which is our Chair Lady Taylor's substitute for this bill. This is our resolution. This is a resolution calling for a House study committee looking into annexation with a focus on dispute resolution. And then Chair Lady Taylor added a study of cityhood, or the formation of municipalities, to this. With the growth we've seen throughout the state over the last many years, more and more times we're coming up with situations where there are issues surrounding municipal expansion through annexation, and it's time to revisit these laws, as I'm sure Representative Oliver will agree, because she's had several bills introduced this year. And I'll answer any questions.
We've got a Chair Lady, if you'd like to ask a question. Are you 7?
Yes, sir.
All right, Chairman Oliver.
There's some other bills with some other numbers that were floating around with this, and one of them had your number on it. So is this just, this is an after crossover bill, so I'm trying to figure out.
It's a resolution. So and I had 2 bills that I had prior to crossover, but this resolution I was told to hold till after.
Okay, so the speaker has an opportunity to appoint this. This is your strategy.
If it is approved as written, that would be correct.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And you would assume, I would assume, that as part of the study of annexation and cityhood would be the issue of tax abatements relating to the annexations and cityyoods.
Could potentially be part of the scope. My assumption, the way this is worded, it's pretty broad. So it could potentially, once that committee is in place, that could be deemed as a part of what they look at. Yes, ma'am.
That, if this goes forward and if there's a study committee, and if I'm involved, I definitely want that to be part of the discussion.
That
Thank
duly
you.
noted. Thank you.
you.
I thought we had 7. Was there another flashing light? All right, they waved at is there any other questions from Zoom or committee? Is that a comment? All right, at the proper time, I'll entertain a motion. All right, motion do pass. A second? Second. All in favor, mark by saying aye. Any in opposition? The House resolution passes.
Thank you.
All right, we have one last Senate bill, and I'm not sure if he's here, Senate Bill 95, which we do have a substitute that Chairman Taylor guided. Who's LC 47? All right, we do not have Senator Ginn. Let me poll the committee. We could recess and give 10 minutes, or that you'd rather recess, or we could go ahead and hear it. You can explain it? Perfect. Well, if you'd like to, anyone have an issue with that? All right. Mr. Chairman, what mic are you? 13. I have to find that number. You're good to go.
All right. Senate Bill 95, LC 471026S. This was a revision to the original bill as it passed out. The governor's office had contacted us concerning it, wanted to have some conversation surrounding it. There he is. He might want to take it or not.
He's doing a better job.
He's doing a good job. I'm gonna let him keep talking.
Okay. All right, sir. Now, if you're good with that, I'll explain it and then you chime in. But the purpose of the bill, it comes as a request from the Georgia Municipal Association. It's also supported by ACCG. This provided an opportunity or a way for local governments, city, counties, and municipalities to be able to use to hold meetings and conduct hearings through teleconferencing in declared emergency situations, federal, state, or local. The issue that the governor's office had to do with the fact that the way that we included local governments was by use of the term agencies, and by definition, agencies, it was broad. It did include what we normally think of as state agencies, but that term also applies to local governments. But what we had in the original bill was a phrase that said, but not limited to, because we were trying to narrow in on the fact that we were just trying to create the ability for local governments to be able to have hearings and conduct business during declared emergencies. So when we removed that phrase, but not limited to, it affected our state agencies as we normally think of them, our statewide agencies, not our local governments. So by revising the language, our legislative council put some language in place which primarily separates city, counties, and municipalities by some legal language, so that it's clear that it only applies to city, counties, and municipalities in emergency situations and permits them to be able to conduct business via teleconference. That is the thrust of the bill. Do you have any other comments there, Mr. Senator?
Couldn't have said it better, Eddie.
So we have House Bill 98, which is a companion bill over in the Senate to be heard next week, but they're identical, or will be.
Number 15, you have a question?
I do. Thank you, Madam Chair. Senator, would this also incorporate state boards? If members of state boards are in a hospital or something and they're not able to attend the meeting, can they teleconference and be counted present?
They could be.
Great, thank you. That's my only question. At the proper time, I'd like to make a motion to pass.
Madam Chair, I want to comment on how green you look today. Happy St. Patty's Day.
Are there any other questions?
Yeah, 16. You got me.
Please, go right ahead.
Thank you, Senator. I like the bill. The only caveat I'll say, I'm going to support the bill. Let me start saying that. The caveat I have is state of emergencies, natural. I really think this should really be for natural disasters when you can't meet in person. State of emergencies, sometimes, I mean, we've had a long extended one. I'm an IT guy. I work remotely. I understand the process for there, but I think there is something to be said. I think we're lacking it in the legislature this year by having as many people here, people and being part of the government, and being able to see people that you can't sometimes see in a crowd of people you might see on Zoom. It's just a little different. It kind of distances you from the feeling of what's really going on in the body. So not independent body language, but how many people are there really there? I support the bill. I hope that people in municipalities and stuff still in extended states of emergencies will continue to try to get in person if they can, whether it's outdoors or whatever they have to do to make that happen. But
thank you, Representative Gullett. So one of the things that I've been on too many Zoom meetings myself, and I will promise you this: if we don't see a prudence use of this emergency powers, I'll be the first to come back with another bill that greatly restricts the use of this action that we're taking today. The reason that I would when we talk about natural disasters or something, I could see, okay, hey, the city hall burnt down. You had an issue there that what we need to be able to do. But it does make it clear in this bill that if there is a virtual meeting, that the public is very capable, and the local government has to make it as available as if they would be in person. And to me, yeah, I applaud your sentiments, because that's one of the things that I want this to be a very prudent action. I know that that's a situation that we want to, meeting in person is important. So thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The only comment I was going to make, Representative, is on line 28. And so long as a quorum is present in person. So I didn't know if you saw that or not, but yeah, But at the proper time, I'd like to make a motion to pass. Thank you.
This would be are there any other questions? Any other concerns? Anyone online? Okay, at this time, I will accept a motion. Do we have a second? Okay, any more discussion? We are taking as amended with the committee substitute. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Your bill passes.
Thank you
You're
very
on
much,
to
Madam
rules.
Chair. Well, I was thinking, Eddie, since he did such a fine job of presenting it, maybe he could carry the bill onto the floor. He's very knowledgeable. I don't know where he gets that knowledge from, but that's okay.
I didn't know if you knew that.
Counselor, he was running out the door when I hollered counselor last. Thank you. Learn a little more about you, Cindy. Other things.